Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Lieberland Show. I'm your host, Adam J. Carswell, joined today by Josh Kettner of Dream Body Clinic. Josh and I'm happy to say we go way back now, or at least what to me really feels way back. I've had him on Dream Chasers, which is my personal podcast, Lieberlandians. If you guys want to check out Dream Chasers, I'll make sure we put a link below in the show notes today. And for everyone listening on Dream Chasers right now, because I told Josh before today, I'm like, we got to make this a hybrid episode. I got to get you out on all the airwaves because people need to know your story, our story, and beyond. So stoked to dive in here today without too much fluff. I mean, I guess, Josh, hit us with your, the 2-minute story on how you established Dream Body Clinic, what Dream Body Clinic is, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, for sure. So we are a regenerative medicine clinic in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, as you can see behind me, and been doing this for 10 years. I got into all this because my dad had Lou Gehrig's disease about 18 years ago and just saw firsthand how messed up the American medical system is. We were based in Seattle at the time, and they wouldn't give him things like human growth hormone or testosterone replacement therapy for a muscle wasting disease. Yet if you had like HIV wasting, they would throw those things at you, no problem. So it just, became disheartened, saw how messed up the system was. And then they put you in these studies where you're just a guinea pig. And it doesn't seem like they're really trying to fix anything. I mean, when's the last time they cured a disease is the way I look at it. It seems like science has become, and medicine is more of a cult than actual science these days. And I don't like that. So I moved to Mexico and fortunately got connected with some different doctors and such, and eventually got into this where we were doing hormone replacement therapies. Started with growth hormone, moved into testosterone, and then 7 years ago got into mesenchymal stem cells. So with that, we're able to help people heal. The stem cells, I don't think they are what people think they are. They don't become different types of cells, not this type of stem cell. They simply seek out inflammation, guide the cellular repair. They fix the immune system. So great for autoimmune diseases, great for joints, great for chronic degenerative things, great for nerve regeneration. So a lot of really cool things that we're getting to heal. And I guess that's the quick synopsis of what we do.
Knocked it out of the park, man. And full disclosure as well, I'm a client of Josh's. We're going to dive into a little bit of my personal testimonial with the services that they provide over there at Dream Body Clinic. I also met Josh through fellow anarchist, and I'm sure many of us listening know, Jeff Berwick, who also connected me with Lieberland. He connected me with Hunter Thompson, who we've built and scaled out Raise Masters, the #1 mastermind for elite capital raisers. He connected me with my personal coach, JD, Johnny Dupre. Some of you guys may know him. So I guess we just got to give a shout out where a shout out is due. Thank you, Jeff Berwick. If you ever tune in here, listen, you've definitely opened my eyes to a lot of cool opportunities and people, and especially Josh, because I know through this relationship with Josh, I've been able to impact a few others already. And then also just extend my life, right, a little bit longer. And that's the key. And that's the goal here. And I think maybe sometimes you'll meet people and they'll just kind of be like, oh, like when my time comes, my time comes. Yeah, that's true. But what if your time coming is what I like to say now is like, I'm living till 1:30. I don't know about you. I know Josh Kettner. So anyways, they've done some really cool things with stem cell therapy, the preservation of life, curing diseases, or however you want to label it, right? When's the last time there was a cure? But looking at some of the success stories that you guys have put together over there, Josh, are pretty remarkable. So I guess before we dive into what I had to come to you for,
let me head inside. They decided to turn the sprinklers on. Sorry
okay,
about that.
all right, we'll pause the recording. All right, and you know what I'm thinking about it. I got to say thank you to the sprinklers because there was another point I wanted to make there before passing it over to you. My wife, being a nurse, or as we like to say, retired nurse now, she's full-time mama and crushing it. Anytime I go down these like crazy, what even sometimes people will call like conspiratorial rabbit holes, her medical background will kind of challenge a lot of ideas that I think are good. And when I meet someone like Josh, who has the medical background credibility, and I see my wife go, okay, cool, he knows what he's talking about, then it's like, it's a win-win. So I just thought of that. I know you got to meet Nikki briefly when we were over there, but yeah, could you just share with our viewers and listeners some of the, we'll just call them diseases that Dream Body Clinic treats that have traditionally been told to us are incurable?
So let's go with the first two that are just incredible. So heart health has been blowing my mind. We're seeing patients with congestive heart failure that'll be at like 25, 30% ejection fraction, which means their heart isn't pumping hard enough. They're going to need a new heart, get back up over 55% with one IV treatment. And that's normal. I mean, I've got these posted on our website, the before and after. I've got some from England, some from the US, some from Canada. And, the follow-up analysis isn't done with us. This is done by like the National Health Service in the UK or like, you know, major labs in the US. So it's great because it's not as anecdotal. You can see real numbers that it's like 100% proof that it will regenerate your heart. And if you look at the diseases that are going to kill everyone, number one, if you go to the NHS website, is heart disease, and stem cells fix your heart. I mean, it's just if you want to live longer, fix your heart. So stem cells do that. And the other one that's been like groundbreaking and just incredible to see has been nerve pain. I personally had sciatic nerve pain in my left leg from a herniated disc in my back 3.5 years ago. Pain was gone within 10 days, never came back. And nerve pain is debilitating. I used to think people that would complain about back pain were just big babies because I work out all the time and my back was always sore. I'm like, stop whining. But then you get nerve pain, oh man, you can't handle it. So we've been fixing nerve pain on, trigeminal neuralgia, which is like people kill themselves because of that when the pain gets so bad. We've even had like phantom nerve pain with amputated like limbs where we put the cells in and it actually got rid of the phantom pain. So unreal on nerve stuff. And those are just the two where I'm just like, no, there's not supposed to be a cure. There's not supposed to be a way to fix those. They just throw pills at you like gabapentin that does nothing, or some pills for your heart that do nothing. So that's been unreal. Then we look at autoimmune diseases. I mean, we've got patients with MS in full remission. We've got patients with ulcerative colitis that they've had for decades in full remission. And the list just goes on and on. So, autoimmune diseases, nerve pain, heart health. Lately, we've had a few patients that came to us with kidney disease, and we were able to get them out of like stage one, stage two kidney failure.
Wow.
There's nothing that you just wait until you're on dialysis and die. I mean, there's nothing else you can do. So, those are just some of them. There's even more joints. We're seeing even all the way to like fourth degree osteoarthritis in knees get back to, say, second degree. Now, that's not 100% with one treatment, but it's a world of difference. And then those patients can do another treatment later. But, cartilage is regenerating. I personally just had a 50% tear of my tricep tendon 4 months ago. I wasn't really able to work out for like 4 months or for 3 months, I mean, and finally was able to. But I'm back in the gym lifting heavier than I was before. So ligaments, tendons, we're doing meniscus repair. It's a big list. It sounds too good to be true, but it's the way your body's meant to heal. And we just have a way to produce these in large numbers so you can heal fast.
Right. Yeah, I would go with on the note of it sounds too good to be true is just familiarize yourself here in this interview with Josh and start asking yourself, thinking about, hey, what maybe in my life, especially physically, what I like to optimize, and reach out to him, because for me that's really where it started. And I guess we'll segue here. About a year ago now, and I was, let's see, I guess I had just turned 31, still am 31, birthday coming up. But I was playing basketball, pickup game. Hadn't played in a while, really much at all during COVID. If you guys don't know my background, I was a college basketball player, played in Central America for a little bit as well. And so just played at a high level, but never at this point, it was like, all right, I've been maybe getting a little bit of rust. And I thought I could just hop out there like I used to, like probably many people who are getting to that 30-year-old range. You think you're still 18 in some cases. And now I actually do still feel like I'm 18 now that I'm connected with Josh. But got out there, started running around, and within 5 minutes, and it was funny too, because I just scored on someone. I blocked a shot, and I went right after blocking the shot, jumped to go save the ball from going out of bounds. And it just felt like somebody kicked me as hard as they could in the back of my calf, to the point where I called a foul. I'm like, someone definitely hit me, and everyone's looking at me like I'm crazy. Start walking around, start realizing I can't run anymore. I can barely walk. Long story short, partial tear of Achilles, which, definitely something that I wouldn't want to wish on anyone. However, I was like, you know what? I got to find a way to get to Puerto Vallarta. Got to get over to Mexico and see Josh. And so we did an interview before this, which if you look up Dream Body Clinic Dream Chasers, it's probably about a year ago as well. And Josh kind of gave me, and he didn't realize I was going to come see him after the interview, but basically gave me an indirect diagnosis, or not diagnosis, but like, hey, here's what we can do on the interview. And then I went and did it. And so August 2022, had the mesenchymal stem cells into my right Achilles. And, to be honest, for the first few months, like first couple months, maybe didn't even really feel that different. Just a lot of positive thinking and optimism. Like, come on, this has got to work. Right. And then now here we are coming into 7 months later, and I'm walking, running, everything is back. And I'm grateful for that for multiple reasons. Also, because we have a 4-month-old. I can't imagine if I would have been limping around the house with a newborn baby, because anyone who has a kid knows how that is. So anyways, I'm here to say my treatment was successful. And kind of what I've learned is even if I don't have anything quote unquote wrong with me, I will still make an effort, probably at least every other year, if not more frequently, to go visit Josh over there, because they've got some anti-aging treatments, which are pretty cool. And I know one of my friends just came and visited you to do that. And so yeah, I guess on that note, I'll just pause there, because I see you got the brains going for you there, Josh. Any comments on my story?
It's so awesome to hear. I know we talked about it before, but that's the big thing. It's just getting that. Now the tough part is, luckily in Achilles is pretty easy to do, say like an MRI, so you can go in and do another one. But MRIs in the US and places are expensive. And with that, unfortunately, a lot of people like they don't want to do that follow-up. So we get a lot of great anecdotal evidence like you're telling, but I did the follow-up on my knee when I had a partially torn ACL, and yeah, complete regeneration. That was 7 years ago. Did a new MRI 6 months ago, and it's still completely regenerated. Same with my meniscus. So softer tissue, ligaments, tendons, meniscus, labrums, they heal fast. And it is like that always. It's the first couple months you're like, is this doing anything? And then I don't know what your experience was. Mine, it was like it feels like magic. It just stops hurting. And you're like,
Right.
it's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we're back to normal. But you're right. I mean, there was like that. Probably with any, you think of any treatment you've ever taken for anything in your life, at first there's always like, man, I hope this works. And when it does, it's like, all right, I want more. So oh man, you guys, so Dream Body Clinic is based in Mexico, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And there's some reasons there which I'd like you to dive into, because I understand stem cell therapy here in the US and Canada and most first world countries is, and not that Mexico isn't, but it's just not easily accessible. And I want to say, before you kind of explain how it's a benefit to be in Mexico, for anyone who potentially might be, I don't think anyone listening to this show would be like it, but maybe you share it with like someone who doesn't think like us, right? I've been
Yeah.
to Dream Body Clinic, first class facilities, and actually we got to have you talk about the new office that you guys just opened. But if anything runs through your head like, oh my gosh, Mexico, it's dangerous, blah blah blah, like Josh and the team, they do a great job even getting you from the airport if you want it. First class, I mean, better medical facilities for sure than any that I saw living in Canada, in Mexico. So, I guess tell us a little bit about just the, I guess maybe the legal reasons for being in Mexico as opposed to
Sure.
another first world place.
Yeah, I mean, being Liberland, I mean, we're looking for liberty. We're looking for freedom, which is vastly shutting down in places like the US and Canada. Fortunately, here in Mexico, it's a lot freer. I love it here. I've lived here for 15 years. I moved back to Seattle maybe 11, 12 years ago or something. And like, man, it felt like a police state after living here. And it's a big part of why I moved here was the freedom. It's so overregulated up there now that you can't get anything done. Fortunately, here, there's still regulation. There's still, government in place to do those things. It's just, they either, I don't know, it's not that it isn't enforced, it's just that they're looking for solutions. Like for example, we're in the US, you cannot do mesenchymal stem cells the way we can. In Canada, they shut it down completely years ago, and the reason why is that they don't allow you to expand the cells. That's their way to protect big pharma, to protect orthopedic surgeons, because they know that this works. In Canada, they were doing this 9 years ago, and 7 years ago, they stopped it because the orthopedic surgeons threw such a fit, not because it didn't work, but because it worked too well. They didn't want it interfering with all their surgeries. In the US, the orthopedic surgeons have a giant lobby in DC, multi-billion-dollar lobby pushing for the rules and regulations. Then you have the pharmaceutical companies that they cannot patent mesenchymal stem cells. They naturally occur in your body. So they've created this giant moat with the FDA that you have to first apply, which is $2.5 million if you had a lab up there. Because I know a lab in Boise, Idaho that was trying to do what we do and can't. And $2.5 million to apply. If there's one comma out of place, they can deny it. You got to apply again and pay again. Then, if you do get approved, now you have to get through all 4 series of FDA trials. That can cost anywhere from 50 to $150 million. The co-founder of Home Depot tried to do it with Duke University. He spent $100 million. They got to phase 3 trials, and then the doctors started dragging their feet, not releasing data. And he got really pissed. He's like, why? Well, they flat out told him that, the big pharma companies donate so much money to Duke University. They said if they continued with it, they were going to pull funding. So, I mean, they've created giant moats to protect themselves because you can't patent it. And so nobody's going to get it approved or spend that money because you never get your return on investment. So it's basic economics. It's a messed up system, unfortunately. Here in Mexico, we have a socialized medical care system and private care. And because of that, type 2 diabetes has become rampant. Well, not because of that, but it has. And unfortunately, metformin, one of the cheapest medications in the world, has almost bankrupted the system here because so many people are diabetic. Well, they found out mesenchymal stem cells help with type 2 diabetes. So, like, yeah, cool, research it, do it, offer it. So they've created, licenses and different things for labs to do this. There's very few that actually have all the licenses. We're one of them. And we're just now about done with our new lab that'll be on site. We have the largest facility in Mexico now. And what we're doing is we're taking mesenchymal stem cells from placenta and umbilical cord tissue. We're then isolating those and expanding them, meaning replicating. So we can get tens of millions or hundreds of millions of cells, billions, at times, so that we can treat multiple people and do this. And they don't allow that in the US. They'll let you take it from fat, from bone marrow, but no expansion. So you'll hear that they're doing stem cells in the US, but it's not really that. Less than 1% of what they're giving you is mesenchymal stem cells. It's just clever marketing. So that's kind
Yeah.
of what's happening, unfortunately.
Hey, I mean, freedom, liberty, free markets will always prevail in the, call it jurisdictions that allow the free market to prevail, period. So one thing you mentioned there, I was thinking about it with the FDA. I'm like, for sure, since 2019, 2020, anytime that I see like a product or something that I want to try that says this is not approved by the FDA, I say, awesome. All right, I definitely want to try it. Just because it's the trust factor just been completely obliterated. So beyond stem cells, there's some other very cool research that you're doing, and I'd say whatever you want to call them, drugs, things that you've been experimenting with, trying, and you're very public with it too. Very straightforward, and it helps me like take a hard look at some of these things that either I also once like thought was crazy or weird or just never considered before. And I guess you could just say like through your leadership, I go, Josh has been right once. Let's like see what else we got going on here. So you did a thing on the Instagram page once about something I believe called modafinil. Cerebrolysin had my attention once, and then I have a buddy who's previously in bodybuilding tell me about the benefits of HGH and testosterone. One, how it can be abused in that bodybuilding realm, but how at a very like smaller practical level, it's a really good idea that again is, I'd say, by the media taught to just be bad. I know if you just look at the testosterone levels of men over the last century, there's evidence that they've dropped significantly. We're all got a bunch of soy boys running around, right? So let's go in that order. I said modafinil, cerebrolysin, HGH, testosterone. Could you just tell us a little bit about modafinil? And then I'm also just curious, like, what would I need to do to sample some or purchase some?
We'll cover them all. So first off, when we started all this 10 years ago, it was another workaround to regulations. I mean, we have some of the top doctors in Washington, D.C. that run like major, like top dogs for military health and everything else, federal judges that come to us. It's insane. We recently had an astronaut from NASA come to us. I mean, like these people that like you'd think they'd want to change things up there, but even they find the workaround. So they're able to come to us. You can seek medical treatment and return home to the US with up to 50 dose units of medication, to Canada, UK, most of Europe, a 90-day supply. So we started out with growth hormone where you could fly down, load up with a year's supply. We just write a really high dose for 50 days or 90 days, and it'll last you a year. So with modafinil, I mean, it's not worth coming just for modafinil. It's a very inexpensive medication. You know, it's like $100 for 28 pills at 200 milligrams. And those you barely take half a pill. I actually usually only take a quarter of a pill because what it does is think of like caffeine, right? It's telling your body make more dopamine. That keeps you awake, keeps you active, keeps you focused. Well, modafinil is a dopamine reuptake inhibitor. So it works on the other side where you've got these receptors. So you're getting all this dopamine, they're getting inundated, and they say shut it down. So it's this constant back and forth. These always win out eventually. And that's why that cup of coffee only lasts so long. Well, modafinil turns this receptor off. So that caffeine, or if you're just having a good day, you're producing some dopamine, it's just going to keep flowing. And it's very smooth. It's not like Adderall or Ritalin or anything like that. Like it's not a stimulant in that regard. It's technically considered like a wakeful agent. It's a stimulant on like a level, but it's not the same as those other things. So it's really smooth. You'll still be able to sleep at night. It's in your system for maybe like 12 hours, but you're just going to get a lot of stuff done that day. Like you're so in the zone, you're so focused. All these kids at Harvard, Oxford, you know, Columbia have been using it for probably a decade or longer. I'm from Seattle. A lot of the tech guys there have been using it, and Harvard and Oxford have actually done studies on it and found that like it's perfectly safe as long as you stay under 4 pills a day. And like you'd have to be like a crazy Adderall addiction to have to use 4 pills. I mean, that's a lot of pills. So it's very safe, very easy. I've got some videos that go deep into it, how it works, but it's one of my favorite tools. It's not the sort of thing you use daily, but if you follow, like, you know, Dave Asprey talks about it a lot. Tim Ferriss has talked about it. Dave Asprey, I think, has been using it like probably for like 12 years. I mean, it's part of, he was taking it like crazy, then created Bulletproof Coffee. He still uses it sometimes. I mean, it's probably the best medication there is. It's as close as you can get to like that movie Limitless, you know?
Right.
It's the limitless drug. It's not that intense or that great, but like you are the best version of yourself when you're on that as far as work goes.
Yeah.
So that's
And
modafinil.
it's pretty obvious
Then
too, like you're saying, in moderation, it's a great tool, right? Use it as a
yeah,
tool, right?
and it's not addictive. It's not like I've been using it, geez, probably for like 8 or 9 years now. Just, you know, here and there, maybe one or two in a week, you know, like a quarter of a pill, just depends. But it's not the sort of thing you ever feel like, oh, I really need some modafinil. There's nothing like that to me. I haven't built up a tolerance either because don't use it that often. So it's pretty awesome.
Nice. Cerebrolysin.
Yeah, cerebrolysin is a medication that's been approved in Russia for who knows how long, a very long time. And it gets some bad rap because it's derived from the brains of pigs. There's certain peptides there that are basically identical to human peptides. So they're able to filter that, get these 14 peptides, and it's in a liquid. And it's the sort of thing you kind of have to cycle it. So you do like 20 days of injections, and then you need to take like 6 months. But I was referred to it by this finance guy that I know, and I think he was also a Berwick follower, and you know, in the same sort of just, you know, just Liberland, all that anarchy, volunteerism kind of community. And he's like the finance guy for this big tech billionaire. And he kept telling me, he's like, Josh, you got to try this. You got to try this. And I read what it is. I'm like, I don't know. My brain's fine. Don't want to mess with it, you know. But this guy's the smartest guy, like I think I've ever met. So I finally look into it. It turns out it has been approved in Mexico for a long time, and they're trying to get it approved in the US. So you can even go to their website, cerebrolysin.com now. It's in English. You can go to our website and click, and the links there. But yeah, these these peptides actually cross the blood-brain barrier, and they've been used for stroke recovery, for Alzheimer's, for traumatic brain injury recovery for decades in Russia. And it's incredibly effective. And if you take it, if you're healthy, you just, man, it's like you. I played sports growing up. I played at a really high level with soccer, and I was a goalie. So my reaction times were super quick. And when I did the cerebrolysin, like a cup would fall off the table, and I'd be like, Spider-Man reflexes catching. I'm like, whoa, I forgot like how fast I used to be because like it's like you get it back. I mean, I just turned 40 and you just, I don't know, you still mentally think you're 20, but then you notice you're like, wow, that really turned the clock back on like speed. You know, you remember things better, you're just a bit more focused. So it can be a really great nootropic that, I mean, I've tried a lot of nootropics and things. You know, modafinil gets you more focused, you get more oxygen to the brain, so you're more on it, you're more motivated to get things done. But the cerebrolysin is working more on just like memory, and just your brain just works better. So we're using it now with like our Alzheimer's protocol with the stem cells. We're using it for traumatic brain injury with the stem cells, but it's just kind of a cool one to take by itself too, for just like a nootropic.
Awesome. Soaking up every bit of this. Uh, and so here we go. Hormone and testosterone, out of everything that we're going through here, probably from my observation, get the worst reputation in the public eye. Uh, Tell us what we're missing here.
Oh man, they're missing everything. And in fact, this is my favorite part. So just think of it logically. Governments do not like strong, motivated men that think for themselves. I think everybody who's watching this probably agrees with that. And testosterone makes you that. It, I mean, it just, you are a better version of yourself. And in fact, the government in the US has actually backed this up. 5 years ago, the VA, the Veterans Administration, the military doctors did a study with 83,000 participants. And it was one of the largest studies ever done of this kind. And they basically concluded that men on testosterone are healthier than the men aren't. Now let's take a step back. Testosterone is steroids, and we've been told that steroids are going to kill you if you take them since we were little kids. We've been conditioned. They're going to make your heart grow and explode. They're going to make your kidneys fail. Your prostate's going to grow and kill you. Your liver's going to fail. Could not be. It's the complete opposite. The study proved every one of those markers was better if you were on testosterone. So it's probably, in my opinion, if you're 30 or over, it's a no-brainer. You should be on it. I started at 30. I wish I knew about it sooner because it's everything a guy wants. You build more muscle, you have more energy, it increases dopamine production, so you're more motivated. I haven't seen a single patient that got on testosterone that didn't become better at their job after being on it. And we're talking about therapeutic doses, but what's crazy is I get to see both ends of the spectrum. I get to see the bodybuilders that have insane levels, or just these meathead guys that come. And I've been looking at that kind of blood work for 10 years. And I mean, you'll see guys that have been abusing it for decades. Like, I mean, like a normal range is probably 300 to 800. I like to be at around 1200. That's like a healthy 25-year-old. I've got this one patient that's been at like 7,700 since he was like 18, and he's 55 now. And he's one of the top chiropractors in the US for a major sports team. And he looks like he could play football still. And his blood work, I mean, his T levels and estradiol are off the charts, but his liver, kidney function, everything is perfect. And I see this all the time. So it's not until guys start playing with the oral steroids they have issues. But testosterone is surprisingly safe. They've even done studies with men in their 70s going like triple the dose I do, and their blood works fine other than high testosterone. And it increases muscle mass and bone density, which are things you lose as you age. So the older you get, the longer you wait to get on test, it's basically the shorter you're going to live, because it just, you got to have muscle to, not even saying like bodybuilder muscle or anything, you got to maintain muscle and bone density, or you lose mobility, and when you lose mobility you die. So that's where it's at.
Nice. Yeah, you mentioned it to me when I was down there, and been meditating on it, and so it's good to hear your take there in a little bit more detail. HGH or growth. I don't know if it's referred to as HGH. It's just referred to as growth hormone, and we'll wrap it up after this one. But how does that differ from T? And yeah, just tell us your thoughts there.
Yeah, so it has nothing to do with testosterone. It's 191 chain polypeptide amino acid. It's produced in your pituitary gland. And when we're little kids, we produce a ton of it because it helps us grow taller. It converts in your liver into what's called IGF-1, and that helps tissue regenerate. So as you're growing, you've got to create all this new tissue. Well, you need more growth hormone. So HGH is once you hit bone maturity, it's like 18 for women, 21 for men. Well, you don't need all that growth hormone. The body kind of down regulates. And you just got to think test and growth. It's the life cycle. You grow up, you have kids, you raise those kids, and nature's trying to get you out of that cycle, right? Well, we know that hormones are a huge part of this. So test and HGH are primary factors, even for women. Women can take HGH just the same as men. There's no difference there. So that's the good part. And you just you're hardly guy and it helps you heal. It binds to it creates what's called lipolysis. It's skinnier, so everybody likes that. It's like
Yeah,
you
we
still
had,
there?
we had a little glitch there. I think sometimes Zoom will
It
catch it on the
looks
back end. Um, we'll pause for a moment here until you and I are sure that we're back. Right when we get to the good stuff, folks.
okay. It seems like it's fine now.
All right, yeah, we're back now. So you were just saying, and then it kind of cut out there. There's a chance again on the back end that
Okay,
Zoom would,
so
but you were
it
saying for women.
but yeah, on the fat loss part of it, it creates lipolysis when you inject. Your fat cells have receptors. So what means is it breaks down that fat so that it can be used for energy and you breathe out all that waste. I mean, I think most people don't realize that you breathe out fat. That's how you get skinnier. So it creates that, then it binds to your muscle cells and it retains the muscle. So it's really great for people. Like when I started this, I was 180 pounds when I was 30, and I'm like 235, 240 right now. And it's because normally, you're working out, you're kicking ass, feeling good. You take 2 weeks off and you just lose it all. Well, when you're on growth hormone, you just flatline. Like I'm 1 month back into working out after taking 3 months off for this. And, I didn't really lose any muscle because of it. Like I'm still at like 235. So didn't lose any fat, didn't lose any muscle, didn't bone density stays the same, all of that. It also does help with bone density, which is huge. They've proven that in studies with elderly people. It then gets to your brain, you have certain memory receptors, and then it gets to your liver, converts to IGF-1, and that helps just tissue to regenerate. You recover from workouts faster, your skin gets better. You see people have just like almost a glow to their skin. You sleep better. And yeah, it does all those things really well.
Love it, love it. Well, ladies and
And
gentlemen,
the anti-aging effects. I mean, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I know we got a little bit of a delay here. But yeah, folks, thank you for tuning in. And I would say definitely continue to follow the Lieberland Show, follow Dream Chasers, follow my journey, because I'm going to be testing out. I don't see any reason that I would be testing out everything we talked about here today, guys. So definitely stay tuned for that. And most importantly, Josh, where can our viewers and listeners go to follow up and get in touch with you?
Yeah, so it's www.dreambody.clinic. And we've got a toll-free phone number. We do free consultations. It's 833-445-9089. I think we're on Instagram is Clinic Dream Body. YouTube, you just type in Dream Body Clinic. I've got a million videos on YouTube. It goes into depth on all of this. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, guys, go follow Josh, get connected with him. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And then also, if you want to see my journey when I went down there to Puerto Vallarta to see Josh and get my treatment, it's on my YouTube channel. You can probably just type in Adam Carswell, Dream Body Clinic. It will pop up. Josh, any parting words of wisdom for our audience here today?
stay free, guys. Like, find those ways around. It's getting tighter and tighter, but there are people working hard like Adam here trying to help you out to find ways around a lot of that tyranny and just find the freedom. So get out there and do it. I'm Josh, happy to help.
Thank you, Josh. Liberlandians and dream chasers, we will catch you in the next episode. Remember, in all you think, say, and do, take it to the next level.